All right, good morning. Welcome to my presentation about findings that I got from the IBM data class that I just done for the first chapter. The first one is talking about the definition or the defining of data science. My name is Sultan Mohd Habibi, and let's talk. It was a class that is presented in CORSERA that was made by the IBM, and it is what these are all of my findings. First of all, is what is data science? Data science itself, by definition, is something or an activity when you processing the data, or maybe you try to extracting insights from all the data that you have relating to the problems or any kind of question that you have related to your business. Maybe you are doing some kind of a business in the sector of healthcare, so you have to extract some insight from your patients, or maybe you can do for some demand forecasting in the future. Maybe the supply uh, of your hospital need to be updated or need to be uh, reused or maybe recycled in the near future. So you can use data science. And of course, it's about the question and answer. You have to clarify the main question of all your problem, or maybe you have to focus on one thing, one question, and do a full research on that particular problem. For example, if you have a business, you're selling some kind of car. Let's say that you have a question about what is the most popular car and what will be the most popular car in the near future. So of course you will have to do some kind of research with using data science. You can use the data from your customer. You can use data from the data set that you get from the internet. And through that, you can use some kind of algorithms. So you can analyze the big data through your computer and get some answer to your question. For example, maybe in the future, the most popular car will be some kind of a Toyota, or maybe it could be some kind of Volvo, because the trend is getting or heading toward that kind of result through the data science. So it is the beauty of the science itself. You're uncovering the hidden potential that you didn't know even exists in your company, or maybe some kind of potential that could be improved through your uh, data insight or findings. And last of all, it's all about recommendations. So after you get those insights, you have to make the data visualization to make sure that the explanation of your insight or findings where does it came from, what kind of data you are using, what kind of statistic or graphs or maybe diagram uh, that give those kind of insights. And of course, from those process, you can give some recommendations, which is one of the main function or the main objective of data science, giving recommendation, data-driven data, recommendation to make sure that the decision itself is scientific, it's objective, it's not subjective, it has a logical reason behind it. And of course, these are the highlights that I get. The three things that you have to learn more when you start your education as a data scientist. Of course, you have to have curiosity, you have to be judgmental, you have to be argumentative. What does it mean? Curiosity, you have to always make sure that you are curious about the question. Is it true, this question? Is the question itself true? Is the question itself need to be extended, or what kind of data should we use? Do we have all the sources of the data that we need, or maybe the data that we got is not enough? You have to be curious about that. You have to be judgmental. You have to make sure that maybe our data, maybe it's enough, maybe it's not enough. It's judgmental. You have to judge your hypothesis, which is sometimes maybe wrong. You have to be judgmental to yourself. You have to be judgmental to the first hypothesis that could be proven wrong by your research itself. And the argumentative part is, of course, make sure that your storytelling and, of course, the other things that is related to your findings could be presented in some kind of argumentative way. Maybe there are some stakeholders that think differently from your findings. You have to be ready to argument to those people, make sure that it is not actually some kind of things that has no meaning. You have to make sure to give your findings with logical and also with the proof that is scientifically uh, good in an argument. And this is the process of the data that went through of the data science, through data, and you can get the insight of it. And of course, last part is storytelling, I think. Well, the IBM course taught me that it is the process of data and you get storytelling. And after that, you can give insights. That's actually also true, but it depends on the person who is talking. And the steps that is being given to us is, of course, first one is to clarify problems. This is the most uh, crucial part of it, I believe, because if you don't have the a particular problem that is need to be solved, I believe the whole process need to be done from the start again. You have to make sure what is the your main concern or maybe the main obstacle of your business, and then after that you have to solve it through your research, and after that you have to try to collect some data from any kind of any source that is credible, maybe your own data sets, maybe data set from the internet, maybe you can do some survey or something questionnaire that is given to your customer or some kind of stakeholders that's related to your company. And through the data collections, you have to make sure that the data, the kind of data that you get is actually related to the problem. For example, if you are searching or researching about military equipment, maybe it is really uh, particular research, which is not normal, but you have to make sure that the data, maybe the kind of data is where's the what kind of weapon is being needed by the military, or maybe who is the supplier of it, or maybe what is the price range of that to make sure that if there is some kind of emergency problem or in the emergency situation or maybe a war, how many fund that we need to prepare to make sure that we're not losing or something around along that thing. And of course, after you have all of the data, you have to analyze the data. You can use some kind of model, you can use some kind of AI, you can use some kind of algorithms that you get from the internet to make sure that maybe you can find any kind of pattern, you can find any kind of findings or maybe anything that is not being shown by a normal data. For example, maybe you can, if you have the data of a car sales, you can see that the customer tend to actually like the cars from 20 years ago. So of course, it might not be, you might not be able to see it if you only see the data from this year only. Okay, you can have to see it maybe from the 20 years of research of the car sales. And of course, after that, you do some kind of recognition, and not recognition. You have to understand all the findings itself and how to story tell them. And of course, you have to visualize all of it, the graph, the diagrams, and the findings. And maybe you can use all kind of things that is relevant to your findings. And last of all, you have to do the storytelling part, which is the key, one of the key step of this process, because through your proper storytelling, you will be able to give all of your findings in a nice way so that your findings become worthy and not worthless. Because if you have many kind of findings, many kind of answers, but you don't know how to talk about it, I think it's gonna be useless since people don't understand about what you're talking about. And it is basically such a letdown, even though you already do all of these steps and all through these times. And yeah, I don't think that is gonna be good. So I think that's all uh, for my presentation. Thank you for listening, and let's move to the next part, I think. See you.